All right, let's talk about post-Oscars. What has been coming up? What just got released? What to look forward to? Not much. There's really not much that typically goes on post-Oscars, but we did have a movie to pay attention to in Bong Joon-ho's Mickey 17. What is this movie? I really basically had no idea when I went into it because all I knew was it was Bong Joon-ho and Robert Pattinson, and that was enough to drive me into the theaters. All you really need to know is that it is clones on a spaceship, and that's about it. It really is something that I don't want to talk too much more about the movie beyond that. It shoots for the moon in terms of its style of quirkiness and satire, and I can appreciate that. It really establishes that tone right from the start of the movie when we're looking at a dying Robert Pattinson, but then Steven Yeun comes by and just very nonchalantly kind of has a conversation. Robert Pattinson doesn't seem all that worried either, and so it's kind of this like off-kilter kind of weirdness to it. You don't really know what to make of it quite yet. To me, that opening scene really establishes the best and the worst of Mickey 17. So what I really enjoyed about that is establishing who Robert Pattinson is. And Robert Pattinson plays what they refer to as an expendable. Basically how he gets onto this spaceship that is trying to send off a new colony, colonize a new planet, that sort of thing. He gets on in this role where they have an exact copy that they can make. They can clone him, and so with that they use him to really expedite scientific adventures. So whether that is testing new drugs or sending him off to a new planet to see can we survive without needing spacesuits, that sort of thing. So he dies a lot, and that is really where a lot of the physical comedy, especially from the first half of the movie, comes into play as we are setting up this whole scenario, as we're setting up the plot, establishing the characters, that sort of thing. And the style that they lean into with that brand of kind of dark quirkiness, I feel like people could really love, or it might rub people a little bit the wrong way. And I'm a bit more on the camp of, I really liked it overall. Not going to be everyone's taste, but I was a fan. The thing is, it's also the worst of the movie because it really wasn't until the very end when they really tried to establish the heart of the film, and I actually liked where it ended up at, but we spent so much of the movie really leaning into the quirky and especially the satire. It's a very satirical film too, and whereas with Bong Joon-ho, he set up very different tones with Snowpiercer and with Parasite, but in some regard, both of those movies are still dealing with the class system overall and really kind of helping dismantle a lot of that. And we see that same sort of agenda with Mickey 17 as well, and focusing on some different class aspects. And I appreciate that, but the amount that we lean into, not just the quirkiness, but especially with the satire, it really gets to be on the nose, especially with Mark Ruffalo. I think Mark Ruffalo's basically Trump impression that he does feels clever, feels a little bit edgy at first, it's very funny, but we keep hammering the same point, and by the time we get to the point in the film where Mark Ruffalo gives us one of the Trump dance moves, it's like, okay, all right, like, that's very on the nose, and it just felt a little too much, and it was like, okay, you're taking me out of the movie at this point, and now it's just pure satire. So to me, it started going a bit too much into it. So whereas Snowpiercer really dismantled the class system, and I think Parasite very slyly addressed it, I think it was a bit much in this movie. There is a clear driving force of this film, and his name is Robert Pattinson. In fact, that opening scene I was talking about, it actually took me a little bit of time to definitively say, oh, that is our star. Robert Pattinson really uses this very, I don't know how else to say, but like dorky voice.
Why didn't that thing eat me? I was passed out. Did I not look tasty enough? about it. Saving me for the kiddos.
Kind of like hey guys, it's me. You know, there's almost this nasal quality. It's a little bit higher pitch raise, a bit of the shyness in it. I'm just a fly on the wall. I'm not here to disrupt anything. That's the character he establishes. Very not Robert Pattinson, and he's very transformative, and he's showcased that in so many different roles that he's done. So I did not recognize his voice at all from it, and it takes such a stark contrast. Because about halfway through the film, there's another clone that shows up, and I think it's really funny because to me, it's basically Pattinson reincarnating his Batman.
I don't like you.
So the differences between the dork and the more edgy, provocative clone lends itself really well. It's not going to give you the levels of James McAvoy's Split, with all the different personalities. It's not like that. That's not the point of what it's going for. But I do think he does a phenomenal job. And dare I say, maybe not an Oscars contender, but I would think likely this is an early Golden Globes type of conversation to have. So what have we established? It's very quirky, huge amount of satire, very funny in many ways, especially if it's the kind of humor you're looking for. This cool sci-fi background where they're exploring this new planet, and there's these very interesting creatures. Bong Joon-ho kind of has a bit of he's established himself for these off-brand kind of sci-fi creatures that you feel for, and you see that humanity and the kind of environmental message along with preservation, that sort of thing. What I can really appreciate is the commitment to the bit. I love when films swing for the fences. I don't like nowadays. I see many movies, so I don't like when you play it safe because it just goes into, back of the brain. This is just what I've seen before. And this is Bong Joon-ho tackling similar subjects, but really establishing a different tone. And I appreciate that. He swings for the fences. It's not a home run, but I'll give him a triple. I think it worked really well. I saw this with a good amount of friends, and I think my fellow compatriots maybe didn't enjoy it as much as I did, and that's going to be fine. That's the nature of swinging for the fences, is it's not going to be everyone's style, and that is perfectly okay. Overall, this movie establishes a distinct tone while still going through the similar themes that our director-writer has showcased before with some of his big works like Snowpiercer and like Parasite. And there is still some heart, some humor, even if I don't think it fits every single piece. That's okay. I still think it's one of his stronger works. I think it's one of the stronger cases for 2025, at least in these early stages. So overall, Mickey 17 earns its 8 out of 10 from me. I enjoyed it. It's not going to be everyone's cup of tea, so take it as you will. And see you at the next one. We'll see what else we got coming up. See ya.